Hey guys, I wanted to say hi for this week, and I wanted to talk to you a little bit about your research analysis rubric for the research articles that you're going to analyze. So this week you have 2 research articles to analyze within the topic that you have chosen. Make sure that they're primary sources. So again, just to clarify, because there's still been some question, a primary source, or also called original research, is the actual study that was performed. So in order for a source to be a primary research source, it must have an abstract, which you see here on this article that I used as my example last week. There's an introduction or a background section of previous research. There is a section that describes the methods or procedures of the study. So you see in this one it's called Materials and Methods, and it describes things like the instruments that were used or how they gathered the data. The participants describes the participants, how many males, how many females, so on and so forth. And then a section for results, what they found, which is, as you learned from your chapter, very scientific writing, just stating the facts. And then there's usually a discussion or practical application section. A discussion is why they think they found what they found and how it applies. So you are going to find a total of 4, 2 this week and 2 next week, articles that are recent research within your topic area. So recent, preferably within the last 5 or 6 years. And then you are going to analyze it using the rubric that I have here. I've also put this on Blackboard, so it is there for you, okay? But just so you can get a close look at what I have here, now let's talk about each one of these a little bit. So your first paragraph is going to state the purpose of the article that you're analyzing, or the objective, the aim. The methods of the study, what did they do to perform the experiment? For example, we surveyed in this study over 102 college student athletes at a mid-major Division I university. And that is an overview of the experiment. Then I can go in a little further detail about the participants. There were 62 female, 40 male. There were 50 team athletes and 52 individual athletes. There were athletes from the basketball team, so on and so forth. So I'm describing the participants in a little bit more detail. The measures of the study refer to the instruments that they used to gather their data. So in our study, it was a survey. Other studies might be blood pressure, or height and weight, or maybe physical activity levels, whatever it is, and then you're going to describe that measure a little bit more. So ours was a 48-item survey, which means it has 48 questions, and it took about 5 to 10 minutes to complete. And then in that the end of that first paragraph, you'll see all of this is in one paragraph. You're going to briefly describe the results. So it was found this. We found that the females were greater or less than the males, whatever the results are. Now, I'm saying that this could be in one paragraph. If you decide that this is worthy of 2 paragraphs, then that's okay. Here's an example of another paragraph of what you would discuss about that article. You see threats to validity, practical application, and then recommendations for future research. So threats to validity are things that could have affected the study. For example, in our study, if individuals just decided that they wanted to go through the survey and kind of click every single, strongly agree regardless of what the question said or not, that could be a limitation. So surveys in themselves are limitations, because we all know that we could not answer the questions honestly. Other limitations should be described within your study, usually in the discussions chapter. The practical application, how does it apply? What does it mean? So for our study, what we found is that college student athletes don't have very good nutrition habits. So what does that mean? That means that we need to do a better job as educators, as coaches, as administrators in educating them on their nutritional choices. And then finally, recommendations for future research. So what do we do now? How do we move forward? How do we grow from this experiment? Another example of recommendations for future research from this nutrition study is that individuals can somewhat create a nutritional education program for athletes. And let's see how that works. Let's see if major Division I universities, if the college student athletes know more or less about nutrition than the mid-major. So what would be the next type of study that could come from the results that we found? Maybe we do a study in high school to see if the results are the same, which I would expect they would be. So I hope this kind of helps you understand what I want with your research analyses. These need to be clearly written. They need to be nice, robust, strong paragraphs. Use the text to help you, so avoid the jargon and the verbosity and the slang and the cliche words. Keep it simple, but keep it very detailed. If that makes sense. Detailed but simple. And let me know if you have any questions, okay? You need 2 this week and 2 next week, and then we'll put these together as a review of literature. All right. Have a good week.